Hey there, my webcrafting wizards. In today's episode, I want to show you a little trick, my magic little sauce that you can use to basically create high quality 3D renders straight in the browser with almost no effort whatsoever. So you can do fluid simulations, you can mess around with smoke, high quality 3D models, anything that you want. And you'll be surprised how easy it is. Let's get going. And if you enjoyed this kind of content, drop a sub as well. Let the wizardry brotherhood grow. We lost 2 people already to Avocadabra yesterday. Okay, so we're gonna be creating this effect with Blender, and essentially what we want to do is create the effect here, and we can actually export each image as a PNG with a transparent background, and then we can stitch that together back into a transparent video. And that way we can just export anything we want and import it into Wix Studio or any other application. So if you are not comfortable with Blender, don't worry, I'll be slow, okay? So here we go. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we need some sort of model. Now I'll link one below in the description. This is gonna be iPhone 12, 11, 12, 11, 13, how many are they? I don't know. But to import it, we'll head over here to import at the top, and this is gonna be a GLP GLTF format. So click there. I'm gonna go to my downloads here and search up the iPhone. So there we go, there's the model. We'll click it and hit import. Okay, so that's gonna take a second to load up. And as you can see, there it is. Now I don't want this. It's essentially 2 phones here. So we're just gonna select this one here and hit delete on that. There we go. Now you might see some lenses left there in space. So let's also get rid of that. Perfect. So there's our iPhone model ready to go. Okay, so you might be like, where's the screen? Well, it's there. It's just we are in this shading view. If you really want to preview it, you can hit this button here. And I believe this is set to EV by default. We're not going to render it out like this. We're going to be using cycles, which is going to give us that bit more realistic water and all of that jazz. So there we go. That's the phone there. Let's just keep it on EV for now. And the next step I'm going to do is hold Shift and A, and then we are going to add a cube here. So let's do a cube. There we go. And I'm going to go here to Object at the top, Quick Effects, and we're going to do Liquid. So as you can see, this created basically kind of like a little cage for it, which is going to be the domain. So this is kind of where the physics can happen. The simulation can take occurrence, right? Outside of this domain, it's not going to work. And if you just press space, as you can see, we already get the effect running there, which is pretty cool. Now, what we want to do is kind of reposition this. So we could get different effects. We could either move this a tad bit more up. And what I want to do is scale this up. So let's just make it a tad bit bigger. And then I'll take this and make it a tad bit smaller like that. So I'm doing all of this just with S. So grab something, press S and up and down, right? If I want to scale it across like the Z axis, I can press S, X, and then see I can scale it like that as well. But let's just move it to the back here. So the red axis here is the X axis. So I can hold G and X, and I can just move it to the back like that. Okay. I can also have, I think the effect that we did, we just put it to the top. So let's just move it up there like that. Let's actually move it quite a bit higher so it has a nice drop effect. Boing. That's like 3 particles there. That's so anticlimactic. Okay, so let's go back here to the rendered view for a second. And as you can see, this domain is going to block our scene now. So you can just press it and press H, and that's going to hide it for a second. What I want to do is essentially grab this phone. Now, I believe this might be broken into multiple different pieces. So what we want to do is grab everything here and do Control J. That's going to basically take all the meshes and combine them together into one shape. So now we can head over here to the Physics tab and add a fluid simulation to it. And we're going to press Effector on this. So this is essentially going to be our collision. That's all it's doing here. And what I'm going to do is do the subsampling substeps here up to 1, and then is planar to true. And now it's going to essentially collide with our domain. So if we turn the domain back on, and up here, we'll just do viewport shading mode. We should see the preview of that. And as you can see, boom, it does collide, but it doesn't look too good. It looks like it's colliding much up higher here than it should, but don't worry. Okay, let's grab the domain now, and I'm gonna go here to the resolution division, and this is gonna make it look much higher quality. Let's turn this up to 128, like that, and let's hit preview again. As you can see, this might be a bit slow now, but the effects should be much better. As you can see, and the way it collides is a tad bit cleaner now. One more thing we can do is we can hide this again for a second and take our phone here and just kind of animate it a little bit. So I'm gonna move myself up to the top here. As you can see, we have a little timeline here that we can use. And basically, if I grab my phone, I can press N to open up the side panel. I can go over to the rotation. I just kind of want to rotate it into place. So let's head over here, and you can just find any position you want, really. What I should also do here is switch it to XYZ Euler. It's just gonna make it a little bit easier to know how much you're rotating this. So 360 is gonna be perfectly like that, 360. Here we can have it rotate out from maybe that angle. So I can just move it into a specific angle, hit I, and then let's go in maybe like 50 frames or so. It's up to you. And then let's basically put this back to 0, right? 0, 0, and 0, which is our default position. I'm gonna hit I again. So there we go. So now we should get this nice little rotation going. Okay, let's bring our liquid domain back, and we're gonna go to this wireframe view again. And there we go. See, now we have this nice preview of how it's gonna collide with it. Okay, so now it's about determining kind of how long we want this to run. How about we do 180? So I'll just lower the N value here to 180 like that. As you can see, that locks it. And now what I want to do essentially is turn this liquid into a mesh, because right now it's just like points of particles there. So to do that, we're going to select the domain again, and we'll scroll down here and see where it says mesh here. We'll turn that on. And here again, you can mess around with the upres factor. You're going to get quite different effects. I'll put this to 4. I found that looks pretty good. And then the smooth positioning to 3 and the negative to 3. There we go, and then we can preview this again. Now, if I preview this again, my computer is going to be really, really slow, and the stream is probably going to lag a lot. So just try to play it and see how it looks, and if you're happy with it, we can continue on. But one thing you can do is actually bake this, so it basically is going to cache the simulation for you. So if you go here to the domain again, we can lower the frame rate here to the same as our timeline that we selected. So we can do 180. And then the next step is to change it from type replay here to modular. And then we're gonna click is resumable right there. And then now what we can do is bake the data and then bake the mesh as well to turn it into an actual mesh, the liquid. So let's bake data and then bake mesh. So after I click the bake data here, as you can see, we can smoothly play this back now without any issues. Awesome. So again, it's still points here that we're dealing with, particles. So let's go down here and also bake the mesh. So it's been 3 hours since I put this to baking, the fluid simulation, and guess what? It didn't crash. Isn't that just exciting? Let's have a look. So there we go. So now that it's baked, if we press play now, look at that. It actually turned into nice mesh for us. Lovely job. Okay, so now it's all about making this pretty. So if we play this now, as you can see, that's what we have. That's great. So our frame is going to start from 1 here and end at 180. That's fine. One more thing I want to do is let's go here and switch this from EV to cycle. So we actually get a preview of how this water looks. And there we go. I'll just stop it at this frame because, again, my computer is going to lag. But make sure you have it here to GPU cycles set. And there we go. Now the water is much more realistic. Now you might need to actually play it like this and then pause to have a look and how that looks. We can improve this slightly better because right now there's not much going on in our scene. We just have the water and the phones. The water is not really going to reflect off anything. So what we can do is add a HDRI, which is essentially a scan of a world our world, whether that's like a sunset that's being filmed 360, and you can import that and basically get the reflections off of that to reflect on the water. So I'm gonna link that in the description below. There's lots of free ones. CG Trader has loads. CG Haven probably has a lot of HDRIs. But the way we can get that imported is we'll head over to the shading tab here. Anyways, we'll go to the shading tab and we're going to switch this over from object here to world. Now, nothing might pop up here for you. That's fine. You can click the background here. And I believe if we just click on one, actually, we can just go here and search up environment texture. This is what we're going to be using to import it. Oh, there it is. It was hiding. And we just need to plug this environment texture into the color there like that. Okay, and then let's just open up the HDRI. So here we go, it's Rosandall Park Sunset, that's the one I used. I'll import it like that, and that's pretty much all we need to do. We can lower the strength a little bit here to something like 0.7, and that is good to go. And there we go, we are up and running. If you don't see the animation running in your timeline like that, make sure you hit tab like that, and then you should be able to preview the animations. There's the water droplet. As you can see, the water looks more watery now with the realistic reflections, and from here you can just go back to the world view if you want to adjust this and just lower the strength here. So let's maybe try to find something like 0.3. That might look a tad bit better. It's not going to be as intense. So there we go. And again, the 0 here is just going to pop the domain up, but our animation starts from 1, so it's going to disappear like that. One more thing we need to do is hide the environments, the actual HDRI rendering from being displayed. So the way we can do that is head over to the output here, the render view here, and under film, we can turn on this transparency. And there we go. Now, if we hit 0 on the numpad, as you can see, we can position our camera any way we want. So I'm going to hit N, and I'm going to go here to view and lock the camera to view. This is great because now I can just rotate it, find the position that I like to render out. So let's just hit space and kind of see what we have. Okay, so maybe I'll move it something like that. It's up to you. Again, feel free to mess around with this and kind of try to find a position that you like and an effect that you like, but I'm happy with that. There we go. So we can even stop it like here at 140, to be honest. So let's lower that to 140. And now we can export this by going to the render tab here. Make sure you select PNG here for the file format. I'm going to go to documents, add a new folder here, call this iPhone Water Sim. There we go. We'll accept that. Hit accept, and to make this render a tad bit faster, let's head over to the resolution tab here to the output. You can change this if you want as well, if you want to make it the block format, the square format, but the important bit is here in the rendering, you want the max samples to be lowered much more than currently what we have. So let's try 2028 instead, or 48. Okay, our viewport usually does half of that, so that's going to be double it. Okay, now let's turn this off here and switch it over to shading view, and then we'll just go to the top and hit render animation. And that's it. Now we just gotta wait for this to finish off. It's gonna render out with a transparent background. We can stitch it up in DaVinci Resolve, which is gonna be as free software. So if you want to download that, feel free to download it. It's free, DaVinciResolve.org, one of the two. Okay, there we go. My animation finally finished render out. So as you can see, we're on frame 140, which means we are done. So we can close this up and close up. Let's save this file just in case, we lose it or we want to make some changes. I'll call this iPhone Water and hit save. There we go. And now you should be left with a bunch of PNG images here in your folder like that you can skip through really quick, and then you can check it out and see if you like it or not. Again, if you want to improve the collision here and everything, you can improve the water, the steps on the water simulation, put that up to higher. I think we did 100. You could try 200, 240 and see what kind of results you get. Okay, so let's open up a project in DaVinci Resolve. Again, it's free. Feel free to download it, and it has a cool feature where we can just grab all the images and import it like that, and it's automatically gonna stitch it together for you. Look at that. How cool. So now the only step to export this is to go over here to the Deliver tab. And what we want to do essentially is do a QuickTime. So QuickTime will enable us to do transparent video. So we'll switch this over to GoPro Cineform. I found this to work really well. And then we'll put it up to RGB 16-bit like that. And then here, as you can see, we have an option now to export the alpha channel. Let's also change the resolution to this, the frame rate to 30 FPS, not to 24. That's going to make it look a bit smoother. And that's it. We can export this straight away. So let's call this Water Sim. And let's choose the quality best, add the render queue. We're gonna hit yes, save, and render. And that's that. So there we go, we are ready to go. We can import this now in Wix Studio by heading here to the plus icon and adding one of these transparent videos. Let's get the horse in. We love the horse, he's the main event of this channel. There we go, but we're gonna change the video here and do upload media, and you can drag in that file. I already uploaded it. I tried a couple of different versions here. I tried it with headphones as well, but I do like the phone much better. So let's import it, and there we go. We can scale this up as well if we want, position it anywhere you like. Let's hit preview and see how that looks. And there we go, we got a little simulation effect going there. And since this is like a box that we can control now, you can do anything you want with it. So first of all, what I did here is like I can put this like behind the text here if I want to as well. As you can see, I just have a H2 here. And what I did is I added a little animation effect to this. So if you go to the lightning symbol, you can go to the slide here. And this is the one I did. It's just a slide up from the bottom here like that. That looks pretty cool. And then for the actual phone, I can position this down here. I can even make him follow my mouse just by going to the mouse effects. And I'll do the resize here. Now we're not gonna resize it too much. We're gonna switch it to expand here and lower this to something like 130. And the distance I'm gonna keep low, like 45-ish or so. And the velocity is fine there at 0.5 as well. And let's just leave it at ease out. So if we preview this now, as you can see, it kind of follows the mouse just a tad bit, so we get that nice effect as well. Now this is gonna like loop over and over again, so to stop that, we can grab this and head over here to the behavior and switch this over to, let's do it to replay on click like that. Now this is up to you from here on out, like how far you can take Blender and come up with creative stuff, but you can create a loop in here to create one of those satisfying animations. Let me know if you want to see a tutorial on that. I'll gladly make it. This is super fun. So that's gonna be it for me. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.